We have new details on child sex abuse allegations in the Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Diocese of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania has released the names of 71 clergy members who have been accused since the 1940s. The list includes 37 priests. Nikki Battiste has been following the story and joins me now on set to discuss this. Nikki, I'm curious, why now? Why this list now?
So this is a big move in a much larger picture. For the last 2 years, 6 of the 8 dioceses have been under investigation by a grand jury. The previous 2 dioceses had previous grand jury investigations, making this the first statewide grand jury investigation into Catholic sex abuse ever in the history of the U.S. We're talking bigger than Boston. That report will be coming out in the next week or so. There's a holdup. People are fighting over redaction of names. But that the Harrisburg Diocese, which is one of the 6 in this upcoming grand jury report, decided we want to come forward, we want to take responsibility, we want to get ahead of this. We've wanted to release these names to give some credence to our, the victims bringing these allegations, and they have. So it's a huge, huge step for them.
And this is all coming amidst Cardinal Theodore McCarrick of Washington being removed as cardinal, which is something the Catholic Church hasn't done since 1927. But what more do we know, Nikki, about this list of people?
We know, so 71 people in total, not just the priests. It's also really important to point out, and Bishop Gaynor of the Harrisburg Diocese said this, these are all people that are accused. They haven't necessarily been found guilty. A big problem here in a lot of these cases across the state, I've spoken to 20 victims probably from different dioceses who are all out of the statute of limitations. So for a lot of people, this will never go into court. They'll never have a legal battle. But I think for a lot of the victims, this is some peace of mind, at least some acknowledgement that maybe they were telling the truth.
So is it problematic for the church that they're also releasing people who, as you said, might not have been found guilty?
I think it's tricky. Even the bishop said today, we may never know about some of these names. So we may never know if they're guilty. Some of them are deceased. Some are still alive. But look, there's clearly there's a problem in the Catholic Church. And I think their acknowledgement of this, and they're putting the list out. They've now put up a website where anyone who says they've been a victim can report it. At least they're starting to listen. They're addressing it. And I think that's step one.
Yeah. What happens for these victims next? What's the next road for them?
So for most of them, unfortunately, legally, there's not much they can do because a lot of these accused people, are protected by the statute of limitations. There have been a few priests. In fact, yesterday, one priest that was charged as a result of this larger grand jury investigation pled guilty. He's the first.
Wow.
But for a lot of these victims, I think just this report coming out is giving them some peace. I know the victims that I've spoken to, they said, look, for years I didn't even come forward because I thought I was alone. Then Boston happened. I came forward, and now there are all these people, and people finally believe me. I'm being heard. So I think even that little bit is some sort of validation, really.
Absolutely. Being silenced all these years because you didn't think anybody would believe you going against a priest. How do you go back to the 1940s and gather evidence when a lot of these cases, they're, as you mentioned, completely, you can't go back and seek legal recourse on this? So
it seems that in a lot of these cases, a lot of the dioceses have files, documents that were just sitting there. In this case, the bishop in Harrisburg said, look, we hired special counsel, we hired investigators to go back to documents dating back to the 1940s and really dive into this, look at allegations that we have had, and do what we can to come up with this list.
And beyond just publishing this list, which is pretty significant, Nikki, what else does the diocese feel they need to do to get ahead of this?
So what they're doing is, for anyone that's accused on that list, if their name appears anywhere, in the churches, anywhere in the diocese, they're removing the names. I think that's something they feel that's the best they can do right now, while they wait to see if any of these abusers can actually file charges if these cases are within the statute of limitations. And I think it's a big deal. This bishop said, look, part of it's the bishop's responsibility. We take some blame here, and that's significant.
It is very significant, a big moment. Thank you very much, Nikki, for joining us.